What's up guys, welcome to Supercars of London and a video I wasn't expecting to film. However, last weekend was my birthday weekend where I celebrated with a little weekend away with my girlfriend in the Cotswolds. And luckily, Velocity Cars were able to offer me this bad boy, a 2015 AMG A45 Mercedes-Benz. Not the right order of how you're supposed to say the car. But anyway, Velocity Cars are a company that have an amazing fleet of AMG cars. You can check them out on all of the links in the description below. Anyway, they were kind enough to allow me to borrow their brand new A45 AMG. And I have to say that I'm a huge fan of this car before I sat in the driver's seat. I'll tell you a little story about why I love the Mercedes A-Class so much when we jump inside and go for a little drive. But this video is more about a discussion about what I felt about this car when I took it for the weekend up in the Cotswolds. I kind of regret not filming because there were some amazing roads, so many cool country lanes, twists, turns, straights, and I could really put the power down in this car thanks to its four-wheel drive. So let's jump inside, talk to you about what you get from this car as an engine, as an interior, but also as a whole package of a hot hatch, and what it is like compared to the Audi RS3 which I drove halfway through last year. So let's jump in, check out what this car is all about. So when you sit in the driver's seat of the 2015 Mercedes A45 AMG, you're greeted with quite a lot of stuff in front of you. You've got buttons everywhere. It's actually really quite well designed. I have to say, I do love the way Mercedes design their interiors. Yes, there is a lot of buttons. Mercedes are definitely not one of those companies that say simplicity is better. As you start over here, we've got all the electric buttons for the passenger seat. I've also got it my side as well. We've got the doors, we've got the mirrors here. And then as you work your way across this beautifully designed steering wheel, I absolutely love gripping this. I much prefer a thick steering wheel as opposed to a thin one. My Audi A1 is quite thin, but this is quite thick and has got some very, very similarities to the AMG GTS steering wheel. It's also got some lovely Alcantara bits here, which are actually probably the best place for your hands to be, right by the gear levers, whereas in the Audi RS3, they decide to do the Alcantara bits here and down here. So your hands are on the leather, but then everything else up here is Alcantara, which I actually love feeling the Alcantara and would love to have a car that has an Alcantara steering wheel. How you start this car up, this car is actually fitted with keyless go. So you put your foot on the brake like so, and there is the start button around here. And we press this and the engine comes to life with an awesome startup. Oh, it even cracked on the startup. And here we go. So this is the satellite navigation. Just taking a little while to get set up. But it is very, 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 very sporty. Let's set the radio down quickly. Quick. So I tend to listen to the radio. Down here we've got the gear select lever here with the AMG logo here. We've got the drive selector. We've got individual. The reflection is quite bad. Individual, comfort, sport, and sport plus. And every time it comes up with cool little features about how this car is set to drive. And on individual mode, you can basically set this car up however you want. You can have everything as sporty as possible with the traction controller, which is ideal because otherwise you'll just end up in a bush somewhere. Even though this car is four-wheel drive, it is a bit of an animal. So to begin with, I'm just going to leave it in comfort mode and we can start cruising, talking about what this car is like to drive. It's very easy and very similar to the majority of automatic cars that I've driven. You move the drive select into D, which is drive, take your foot off the brake and the car lurches forward. As simple as that. Take your foot off the brake. And I mean, cars are so easy to drive. Back when I did my driving test, as if it was 30 years ago, it wasn't, it was about 8 years ago. And it was the manual gearbox, isn't it? It was just about finding the biting point. And I mean, my R8 was manual. But for some reason, the way that cars are built now, it is so easy and I suppose lazy. And that might be, and I prefer it, not because I'm lazy, but I think this PlayStation generation where driving cars on games and it's all done for you and it's all automatic, it is being implemented on all of these new cars. And something like a hot hatch, which is built for the city, but at the same time has enough power to get you wherever you want to be as quick as you need to get there, it's just an awesome little package that you can get in this car. And I absolutely love the Mercedes, don't get me wrong. I love the Mercedes brand. I do think some of their newer cars are a little bit too curvy. When I first saw the AMG GTS as well, I thought that was a little bit too curvy, but I was definitely more Lamborghini. It was all about straight lines and angles and sharp points. But I'm coming round to the Mercedes AMG GTS. I have got a real soft spot for the A-Class, the new Mercedes A-Class. If you remember back potentially 2004, 2005, when Mercedes were bringing out these god-awful A-Class, really high, and it didn't look very sporty. It was a family car, and Mercedes decided that they wanted to move the A-Class to a B-Class, which then left a gap to try and target the younger audience, which brought this, the Mercedes A-Class hatchback. The new Mercedes A-Class that came out, it was aimed at the younger generation, and it captivated me. Back when I was looking at my first car, I actually placed an order for a brand new Mercedes A-Class. It was a 180. It was the cheapest model, but I just loved it. I loved the interior. I thought that it was really classy, and for what you got for your money, it was a really cool car. And unfortunately, I had to